The abandoned amusement park. The year was 1987. It was a sweltering summer day, the kind where the air felt thick and heavy, and the sun beat down mercilessly on the Alphabet. 17 years old Ethan was bored out of his mind. He had spent the entire day cooped up in his room, playing video games and watching TV, but he was starting to feel restless. He needed something to do, something to get him out of the house. Ethan's eyes fell on the flyer for the local amusement park, Happyland, that had been lying on his desk for the past week. He had been meaning to check it out, but he had always been too busy with other things. But today he had nothing else to do, so he decided to give it a go. Ethan hopped on his bike and pedaled down the street, the flyer clutched tightly in his hand. Happyland was located on the outskirts of town, about a 20-minute bike ride away. As Ethan got closer, he couldn't see the tall Ferris wheel and roller coasters rising above the trees. He couldn't wait to get inside. When Ethan finally arrived at Happyland, he was surprised to see that the parking lot was almost empty. There were only a handful of cars parked there, and the park itself seemed deserted. Ethan, shrugged it off and paid his admission fee. He figured that everyone must be inside enjoying the rides. As Ethan walked through the park, he couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The place was earlier quiet, and the only sounds he could hear were the associational creak of a swing set or the rustle of leaves in the wind. The buildings were all painted in bright, cheerful colors, but they looked faded and worn, like they hadn't been touched in years. Ethan decided to head for the Ferris wheel first. He had always loved riding Ferris wheel, and he thought it would be a great way to get a bird-eye view of the park. As he approached the Ferris wheel, he noticed that it was completely still. The gondolas were just hanging there, empty and motionless. Ethan frowned. He wondered if the Ferris wheel was broken, but then he saw a sign that said "Closed for maintenance". He sighed and turned away, disappointed. Ethan wandered around the park for a while, trying to find something to do, but everything was closed or broken. The rides were all shut down, the food stands were empty, and the souvenir shops and boarded up. It was like the park had been abandoned. Ethan was starting to feel creeped out. He decided to leave, but as he was heading towards the exit, he heard a noise behind him. He turned around and saw a figure standing in the shadows. The figure was tall and thin, with a long dark coat and a wide-brimmed hat that obscured its face. Ethan couldn't see any eyes, but he could feel too cold. empty sockets staring at him. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. He turned and ran for the exit, but the figure was too fast. It was right behind him, its long, bony fingers reaching out for him. Ethan screamed and stumbled, falling to the ground. The figure loomed over him, its shadow casting a pall over his face. Ethan couldn't feel its icy breath on his skin. He closed his eyes, waiting for the inevitable, but nothing happened. He opened his eyes and saw that the figure was gone. Ethan scrambled to his feet and ran out of the park, not looking back once. He didn't stop running until he reached his house and collapsed on his doorstep. Ethan never went back to Happy Land. He never told anyone what he had seen or heard that day, but he never forgot it, and every time he heard the sound of a Ferris wheel creaking in the wind, he would think of the dark figure in the shadows, and he would shudder.